Our top story this Monday morning, congressional lawmakers have until the end of the work week to strike a deal on border security or face another partial government shutdown. Bipartisan talks apparently broke down over the weekend, with the two sides at odds over a handful of issues, including how many migrants authorities can detain and also how much to fund President Trump's border wall. Senator Jon Tester is one of more than a dozen members of Congress working to reach a long-term deal on border security funds. Tester appeared on Fox News with Chris Wallace Sunday morning, and he's not positive the committee can put together a deal, but he remains hopeful. Tester said the negotiations haven't always gone smoothly, but he told MTM he still believes there is room for agreement.
What everybody wants on both sides of the aisle is to make sure that our borders are secure. Nobody wants a shutdown. We've got to stay focused on striking a deal that requires the hard work of compromise. If we continue to negotiate in good faith, I'm hopeful we can come up with a bill that Congress can pass and the president will sign.
And Senator Steve Daines' office says he will be at the southern border today. A spokesperson said Daines wants to hear firsthand from border enforcement agents as the negotiations over border security funding continue. Meanwhile, a growing field of Democratic presidential contenders are entering the race for the White House. Over the weekend, both Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar and Senator Elizabeth Warren formally announced their presidential bids. CBS's Mark Liverman has the latest.
The common good. I stand before you as the granddaughter of an iron ore miner.
The race for the presidency just got even more crowded. On Sunday, Minnesota Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar made her announcement. A day earlier, Senator Elizabeth Warren threw her hat into the ring.
I stand here today to declare that I am a candidate for President of the United States of America.
Warren spent Sunday campaigning in Iowa and didn't waste any time attacking President Trump. She addressed Robert Mueller's ongoing Russia investigation.
By the time we get to 2020, Donald Trump may not even be president. He may not even be a free person.
President Trump took notice and on Twitter went after both senators. He again derided Senator Warren for claims she's part Native American and mocked Senator Klobuchar for talking about global warming in a snowstorm. Two other presidential candidates spent the weekend campaigning in South Carolina. U.S. Senators Cory Booker and Kirsten Gillibrand were both preaching a message of unity.
We're not just a red America or a blue America, but we're red, white, and blue America.
I'm going to govern and call on people to end this politics of pitting each other against each other, thinking that the way you get ahead is tearing other people down.
There are now 11 Democratic candidates in the running who have either officially announced or formed exploratory committees. Mark Liverman, CBS News.
And tonight, President Trump will hold a rally right near the U.S.-Mexico border in El Paso, Texas. Just about a mile away, former Democratic Congressman Beto O'Rourke will appear at the March for Truth in hopes of countering the president's message on immigration. Now closer to home, tonight is the night the Billings City Council decides the fate of the One Big Sky district. City staff recommend approval. Leaders of One Big Sky call it a vision to create one of America's great cities of tomorrow. They say the project is key not only to Billings' economic future, but to the entire state of Montana. That vision includes 4 core districts in downtown Billings, each with its own anchor. Those districts are entertainment, lifestyle, education, and a health and wellness district. Plans also include ideas to fill the gap in the Billings economy and make the development financially viable. It also dives into the issue of population, expecting that Billings will see a 6% growth in the next 5 years. It looks to grow Billings' major employers in healthcare and business. The plan includes a comprehensive report of revenue sources and how a return on investment will help push Montana's economy forward. If approved, project developers say One Big Sky could garner $1 billion in state reimbursement money within just 10 years of its existence. The vote will take place tonight at the City Council meeting, and that starts at 5:30. Now we go to LA, where women and rap were the big winners at last night's Grammy Awards. CBS's Stella Escobedo has your Grammys wrap-up.
Can I bring some of my sisters out here tonight?
From start to finish, women commanded the Grammy Awards last night. Host Alicia Keys brought out Lady Gaga, Jada Pinkett Smith, Jennifer Lopez, and former First Lady Michelle Obama to open the show.
Music has always helped me tell my story.
After a lack of female nominees in top categories last year, at this year's Grammys, there was no shortage of nominees and winners.
Hanging over your head.
Casey Musgraves won 4 times, including the night's top award, Album of the Year. Lady Gaga and Brandi Carlile nabbed 3 Grammys each. Cardi B also made history as the first solo female to win Best Rap Album.
Ooh, the nerves are so bad.
Dolly Parton was honored as Music Care's Person of the Year. The country legend ran through a medley of her hits with other performers. Keys, a 15-time Grammy winner, joined in the fun, at one point showing off her piano skills. The men weren't totally left out. Childish Gambino took home 4 awards, including Best Song and Record for This Is America, and Drake took home Best Rap Song for God's Plan. The late Aretha Franklin was given an extended tribute at the end of the In Memorandum segment. Stella Escobedo, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And another big female win last night. Dua Lipa won Best New Artist. Diana Ross also performed. She celebrates her 75th birthday next month. And one last story before we take a break. For this month's awaiting child, MTM caught up with 12-year-old Destiny from Hamilton, who loves animals and sports. MTM's Lauren Heiser has more.
This is Destiny. She's 12 years old and in 7th grade living in Hamilton. She's an active kid with a passion for sports.
I really like to do taekwondo, basketball, volleyball is my very, very favorite. I would say that I was really competitive, yeah.
She says she would love to be with a family who would let her continue to devote her time to play as many sports as possible, and that she would love to have pets.
I really, really love pets. They're just about every one of them. I mean, my favorite animal, like house animal, would probably be a dog or a cat, but below that, like a smaller house animal, like a chinchilla or guinea pig.
Linda Massa Youth Home Program Director Anna Green says Destiny needs to be with people who prioritize helping her reach her full potential.
Destiny is a brilliant, talented, smart, almost like perfectionist kind of kid. And she needs a parenting scheme that is going to support that, that's going to push her to do the best she can do in school, that's going to push her to do the best she can do in sports.
In Hamilton, Lauren Heiser, MTN News.
And if you would like to learn more about Destiny, or if you have questions about fostering a child, you can call 657-3120.